I don't know about you guys, when I'm really interested in something, I tend to do more research and like want to know more about whatever that topic is, whatever it is in general. And if you guys don't know, at this point, I'm really invested into Jojo Bizarre Adventure, the whole franchise as a whole. So as a result of my peaked interest in Jojo now, I'm just super interested in like learning more about the stands and like the intricacies behind different stands and their abilities and their powers and all that stuff, and like how they, you know, function and all that. Even though what's crazy is in the actual anime right now, I haven't even come across a single stand. So you can tell like my interest is like far beyond like where I'm actually at in the actual anime. So which is kind of interesting in my opinion. But yeah, man. So today I want to check out this video basically titled "What is a Requiem stand?" The only Requiem I know is the Golden Experience Requiem stand, which is held by Giovanna, another character who I haven't seen in the actual anime. But yeah, I just want to check out this video and see how it breaks down what a Requiem stand is all about. You discovered how to destroy the Requiem. What the heck? Why is that's Sasuke's voice actor? Karate.
Almost every combat-focused manga series is based off a certain power existing in that series universe. Whether it be Nen from Hunter x Hunter, quirks from Boku.
I feel like Nen in Hunter x Hunter is probably the most like defined abilities from what I understand so far. Maybe Jojo could compete,
Academia,
but
Super Saiyan from the Dragon Ball series, and countless others. For a majority of Jojo's Bizarre Adventure, the main power of our characters is known as a stand. In short, a stand is a personification of one's life energy manifested in a visual form that represents the user's fighting spirit. Each stand is unique and they come in all different shapes and sizes.
Yeah, I know my stands.
Stands are infamous for their bizarre and powerful abilities along with their unique appearances. Stands can be categorized by the way that they function, with the three most basic categories of a stand being close range, long distance, and automatic. But there is one type of stand more powerful and more close range, long distance, and automatic. But there is one type of stand more powerful and more bizarre than all of the others. These stands are known as Requiem stands. Hello everyone, xforts
So there's a category just for Requiem.
Here, and welcome to a Jojo's Bizarre Adventure discussion video, where today we'll be asking the question, what really is a Requiem stand?
Let's get into it. This is the game, right? I have to react to like the game too. I've never played the game or seen the game before, but someone definitely recommended me to react to like the interactions in this game. So I'm gonna definitely do that. Stay tuned for that.
Jojo's Bizarre Adventure officially introduced Requiem stands to the series in the 5th part, Vento Arreo, where it is described by Polnareff that the arrow can awaken one's stand ability if they have the talent upon being pierced by the arrow. And if the arrow is used a second time to penetrate a stand that has already been created by the arrow, then one can discover what the arrow's creator was trying to do so long ago. What this means is that by piercing your stand with the arrow, effectively being pierced twice, it allows you to see the true purpose and potential of the arrow. After a stand has been pierced by the arrow, it will begin to transform into its Requiem. Requiem comes with a new appearance and a new ability for the stand. So far, there have only been 2 stands in the series bearing the name Requiem, Gold Experience Requiem and Silver Chariot Requiem. But there is one other stand in the series that fits the description of a Requiem stand, but is never referred to as one. And this stand is Killer Queen Bites the Dust. Before we talk more about the possibility,
Killer Queen is low-key rising up my rankings, because like there's a lot of different videos talking about Killer Queen and like how tough he is.
Of Killer Queen Bites the Dust.
Obviously, I haven't seen him in the anime or like done any manga research on him.
Arrow piercing your stand, and for what reason those abilities are granted. Some people will refer to a Requiem stand as just a power-up giving a stand an overpowered ability. But there is actually a certain way that the arrow works when piercing a stand to create a Requiem. A Requiem stand is not just a randomized ability, but in most cases, they are some of the most powerful stands. The way a Requiem stand works is that the arrow will grant the stand user a new stand that has the perfect ability for the exact situation and allows the user to achieve what they want most at that moment in a very bizarre way. And that is the reason why Requiem stands tend to be so overpowered. So the reason Giorno was granted with Gold Experience Requiem was because he had a strong will to defeat Diavolo, and the only way he could do that was if he had an ability that would nullify or reverse the powers of King Crimson, which is already an extremely powerful stand. And also, Giorno's strong will to be the new boss of Passione added pointed to the reason why Gold Experience
So Jonah
Requiem was
becomes a
so
boss
powerful
too?
and why he was most likely never defeated in his lifetime. As for Silver
Damn.
Chariot Requiem, although
So we like
Polnareff
Floyd
also
Mayweather, 50-0?
wanted to
Okay.
defeat Diavolo, what he wanted most in the exact moment that he was pierced was to keep the arrow away from Diavolo, as well as save his life because his body was going to die from his wounds. So Polnareff was granted with a stand that had the ability to put people to sleep and switch their souls with another body, which
Genjutsu.
effectively saved Polnareff's life, even if he had to live as a turtle. I believe the intended
damn.
outcome was probably to put Diavolo in Polnareff's dying body so Diavolo would die and put Polnareff in Diavolo's healthy body. But it didn't turn out this way. Silver Chariot Requiem's soul manipulation also worked to keep the arrow away from Diavolo. As we saw Diavolo
Karate
start
chopped
to
his
fall
ass.
asleep, Chariot Requiem took the arrow and started to move away from Diavolo. Chariot Requiem also had no offensive capabilities and wasn't able to attack. This can be seen maybe that Polnareff was done with the life of fighting stand users and just wanted to live peacefully and didn't want to fight anymore. So it is not always the case that a Requiem stand will be overpowered in a way that Gold Experience is, but in a way that it will grant the user what they want most. For example, if Bruno Bucciolati was extremely hungry and wanted nothing more in his life than to just eat pizza, if Sticky Fingers was pierced by the arrow at that exact moment, it would grant Bucciolati exactly what he wants in a very bizarre and very overpowered way. So instead of just creating a Requiem stand that makes pizza, it would have to be over the top, just because it's a Requiem stand. So Sticky Fingers Requiem's ability would be something like turning Bucciolati into a pizza magnet and bringing all the pizza in the world to him, or just make it so Bucciolati does not require food anymore and is never hungry again. And that's just an example of how Requiem stands are always going to be overpowered. It just depends on the situation. So for Bucciolati's case, he has an extremely overpowered stand for
what is this guy floating?
And in
Is that like a
case,
genie?
he has an extremely overpowered stand
just
for
threw me
combat.
off.
Sticky Fingers Requiem confirmed. So now that we've looked at how a Requiem stand is created and also how it is decided on what the new ability of the stand will be, we can bite the dust back to the theory that Killer Queen Bites the Dust is a Requiem stand.
Okay. Interesting. Wait, so is that where they got it from? I'm gonna assume so.
After a stand has been pierced by the arrow, it will begin to transform into its Requiem. Requiem comes with a new appearance and a new ability for the stand. So far, there have only been 2 stands in the series bearing the name Requiem, Gold Experience Requiem and Silver Chariot Requiem. But there is one other stand in the series that fits the description of a Requiem stand but is never referred to as one. And this stand is Killer Queen Bites the Dust. In Part 4, Diamond is Unbreakable, Yoshikage Kira was pierced by the arrow and granted a new ability that he referred to as Killer Queen's new ability and third bomb Bites the Dust. And Kira was granted an ability that gave him exactly what he wanted at the exact moment he was pierced by the arrow. Kira was in the middle of a dead panic and did not want his true identity to be discovered and also did not want to have to flee from Morio. Thus, he was chosen by the arrow and it pierced him for a second time and he was granted Bites the Dust. To briefly describe Bites the Dust ability, it allows Kira to implant Killer Queen into someone who knows his identity, such as Hayato, so whenever Hayato is interrogated or even reveals his identity, the person listening will explode. And then time will reset and it will happen all over again. And this is also an automatic stand and Kira isn't even aware of all the time resets.
That's crazy.
So needless to say, Killer Queen Bites the Dust is the perfect stand for exactly what Yoshikage Kira wanted at that exact moment. And also, Killer Queen Bites the Dust is categorized as an entirely different stand than Killer Queen and it has its own unique stats. So although it might
sound I said it before and I'm gonna say it again, Killer Queen, the stand, like the, you know, how it looks, the physicality, the drawings, how they drew it, I think that so far is the best looking stand visually that I've seen. Just like
Bites the Dust
artwork
is
wise,
a Requiem stand. It has some unique traits that clearly differentiate
like a Black Panther.
from other Requiem stands.
It reminds me of a Black
First
Panther.
off, Killer Queen itself was not pierced by the arrow directly, but rather its user Yoshikage Kira was pierced for a second time. And secondly, Killer Queen's appearance mostly stayed the same after acquiring Bites the Dust. And lastly, Kira was able to disable his Bites the Dust ability, and he was also able to access his previous ability of turning any object into a bomb. But this is actually pretty normal when we're talking about Yoshikage Kira and Killer Queen, because it is one of the most unique and unconventional stands in the entire series. So I mean, it might make sense for it not to follow the rules of Requiem stands.
Why is the blood black?
So if we consider that it might be possible that Killer Queen is actually a Requiem stand, these would have to be the circumstances. First, it does not matter if either your stand or your body is pierced if you already have a stand to gain a Requiem stand. This can be a viable theory because Kira is the only case that a stand user's body is being pierced for a second time, and also the arrow entered Kira through his arm in the same fashion that the arrow entered Gold Experience.
Damn, look how like just like went through his veins and all that. So so
chose
crazy.
Kira on its own will.
I can only imagine like how that would feel in real life.
The arrow used its own will to pierce Silver Chariot or Gold Experience, but it was heavily implied. Because in Silver Chariot's case, the arrow suddenly and unexpectedly out of nowhere pierced Silver Chariot in the moment it needed it most. And it was very similar to how Kira was pierced unexpectedly. And the evidence is even more compelling to prove that the arrow used its own will to choose all three of these characters in Giorno's case, because when Diavolo dropped the arrow from the sky, it literally fell directly into Giorno's hand, as perfect as it ever could.
So what he's trying to say is like a Death Note scenario where like the the Death Note, the book that I forgot the Ryuk dropped, and it just so happened to fall in Light's school, and Light was the only one who saw it. So maybe it's like,
and this shows in all three cases, be it Polnareff, Kira, or Giorno, the arrow chose all of them because they were the people with the strongest will that were around the arrow. In Polnareff's case, he was in the midst of King Crimson's ability, and at the last possible moment, the arrow flung directly into Silver Chariot's face, and turning Silver Chariot into a Requiem stand to do what Polnareff wanted to do most, more than anyone around him, and that was to keep the arrow away from Diavolo. Thus, the arrow chose him. In Giorno's case, he just saw Bucciolati pass on right before his eyes, and he wanted nothing more than have his revenge on Diavolo. Just saw Bucciolati pass on right before his eyes, and he wanted nothing more than have his revenge on Diavolo.
Low-key just spoiled right now.
And thus the arrow chose him, falling directly
Luckily, he didn't
into
explain
his
how
hand.
he passed.
And in Kira's case, after making a grave mistake, he realized that he was going to be found out, and he was going to have to leave Morio or get caught. So out of nowhere, the arrow chose him because it knew that he wanted something more than everyone else and pierced him. And to further justify the reasoning on why Yoshikage Kira might have been stabbed rather than his stand is that each character that has a Requiem stand went under different circumstances to acquire it. In Giorno's case, his stand Gold Experience actually merged with the arrow, and after the transformation, they became one. And in Silver Chariot's case, it did not merge with the arrow, but the arrow did leave a strange brand on the stand. And in Kira's case, he was stabbed rather than his stand. So it could be possible that the process of creating a Requiem stand could be different for everyone. So for those reasons, and also considering how unconventional Killer Queen is, it's clear that Killer Queen Bites the Dust is a Requiem stand or just a slightly different version of Requiem. Also, some things worth mentioning is when Gold Experience was pierced by the arrow inside of the stand Black Sabbath, it did not turn it into a Requiem stand. It is possible that an arrow has to be inside a stand for a certain amount of time, because Giorno immediately pulled his hand away from the arrow, unlike when he left it inside at the end of Part 5 to fully turn into Gold Experience Requiem, or because the arrow was attached to Black Sabbath and it was an actual part of the stand. And when Gold Experience transformed into Gold Experience Requiem, the arrow completely went inside Gold Experience and they merged into one being. So those are just some explanations for Black Sabbath. And the theory that the arrow has to be in a stand for a certain amount of time is supported by when Polnareff was first pierced by the arrow, but it was just on Silver Chariot's hand and it started to transform, but Polnareff pulled his hand away in enough time for Silver Chariot to stop its transformation. So that was today's video. What is a Requiem stand, along with the theory that Killer Queen Bites the Dust is in fact a Requiem stand. There will be a card in the top right where you guys can vote on whether you agreed or disagreed with my theory that Killer Queen Bites the Dust is in fact a Requiem stand before there were Requiem stands. Be sure to let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about this theory, and also like the video if I occupied your boredom for a little bit, or if you just enjoyed, and also subscribe for more Jojo's Bizarre Adventure content.
Good. Okay, that was a really good video. Shout out to xforts, I think that's his channel's name. He really, broke down the Requiem stand. He really broke it down to a T for me. He broke down the stands into like different categories and also brought up the Requiem stand category. And he made a really good case for Killer Queen to be considered a Requiem stand, in my opinion. I'm not one to even like debate this topic because, as you guys know, I'm just new to this whole JoJo space and learning about stands. I haven't even seen an actual stand in the actual anime where I'm at right now. But yeah, overall, he made a really good case. Just by like how he demonstrated, how he talked about and explained how Killer Queen, how he got his ability, how maybe he could have been a Requiem stand all along. So he made a really good case, in my opinion, just as like a casual. But I don't know if you guys agree or disagree with that. Killer Queen as a stand and like his ability, he's definitely climbing up my ranking as one of my top favorite stands. At first, the stand, the visuals caught my attention because, like I said, he looked like a Black Panther stand. When I found out that the person who owns the stand, Yoshikage, was a bad guy, I was a little bit hesitant to give Killer Queen his props. But come to find out, Killer Queen is still that guy regardless of whoever is using the stand. So I gotta give the Killer Queen stand itself its props. So yeah, man, if you guys are new, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and we out.